Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Talking Tigers and Tide from Saturday night. Disappointing performance all around from LSU. And Brian Kelly said after the game that LSU did not live up to its standard. It's number 4 back if we could play that, and I think everyone would generally agree with that assessment.
They're disappointed. We're disappointed in the way we performed. These guys are not like, hey, we're out of the playoffs. They're disappointed, and I'm disappointed that we didn't live up to the standards of LSU football. That affects us more than the damn playoffs. We're disappointed. When you put on the jersey for LSU, there's a standard of football that those 3 letters on your jersey, it's a prerequisite. And we didn't live up to that. That's the disappointment.
Honestly, in Brian Kelly's 2.5 years in Baton Rouge, this one feels different than really any of the other losses. I thought that that 2 years ago, Tennessee was a significantly better team than LSU at that point. That Hendon Hooker offense was just high-flying, and they were executing at an elite level. And I don't know that I thought that LSU didn't show up for that game or that they just did not live up to the standard. I thought Tennessee just came in here and put it on you. Last year against Florida State, Florida State had a really good team last year. Malik falls down and you throw a pick there. You had a key drop by Kyron on a 3rd down that maybe you go down and get some points. I mean, they got beat, but I think Florida State was a little better than LSU at that point of the calendar as well. And I think Alabama's got a better football team than LSU does, but they're not nearly that many points better than LSU, in my opinion. It's an opinion, and it certainly isn't backed up by any statistical fact because everything went the way of the Tide on Saturday. But I just felt like that was as disappointing a performance as you have seen from a Brian Kelly team at LSU. Now, there are plenty of people that are pretty loud, Saturday night, Sunday, into today, talking about the state of the program, talking about the right or wrong coach, talking about the quarterback. Like, there are a lot of people talking. That's what happens when you got a passionate fan base and you lose the way that they did on Saturday. I'm not ready to have many of those conversations, but I'm not going to brush this one aside. Like, this was dejecting to watch because Alabama hasn't imposed its will on anybody like that, save Missouri with a backup quarterback and Wisconsin. And they just came in and shoved you around inside Tiger Stadium, which was super disappointing. I talked a lot in that first segment about LSU's struggles against Jalen Milroe. Brian Kelly talked about it on Saturday night.
If you're watching the game, you're like, what did these guys do for 2 weeks? Like, we have a scheme to stop the quarterback. We did not get that done. So I take responsibility for it. Blake is not going to hide from the responsibility, but we also have to put our players in the right position, too, to take advantage of what they're capable of doing. So we own it together, and we've got to get it fixed.
There are so many thoughts I have when I listen to him say that. I want to kind of lean towards, well, maybe they just don't have the guys. But neither does frickin' Vanderbilt. And Jalen Milroe ran for 20 yards on them. So I can't necessarily pin it on that. And you got to execute better, and you got to call better plays, and you got to prepare better. Just everything's got to be better. But it's odd to have watched that because it hadn't happened all year to anybody else. So I'll kind of leave that conversation there and then move to the LSU offense. A lot of people were disappointed in the play calling early in the game. I got that on Twitter. We got that in our post-game show. I've had conversations with people who are LSU fans since that time. A lot of people were uncomfortable with the way that the play calling rolled out in the first half. And it was very high percentage. It was a lot of throws around the line of scrimmage. They didn't stretch the field a ton. And I'll be pretty candid about my feelings on that. I think they were playing a little bit more conservatively because of the weather. I don't have anything to back that up at all. It's just my opinion. Being in Tiger Stadium, now I was in the comfy, cozy press box. I wasn't braving the elements with a lot of you, but I could watch it, and I could see the rain. And LSU likes to throw the ball down the field. I mean, you saw the Ole Miss game. I had the numbers at one point. I think they threw 17 passes that went at least 15 or 20 yards. I mean, they were stretching the field like crazy in the Ole Miss game. They want to do that, but it's just not a very high percentage thing to do when the rain's coming down as hard as it was. So I think they were trying to stay around the line of scrimmage. That's just my guess on the situation. They did run the ball a little bit better, certainly busted the big play there on the first drive, and I'm shocked that Durham got run down. I thought for sure once he got the corner that he was gone, and he got run down there, and then LSU couldn't put it in the end zone. But I thought they were a little vanilla offensively and a little conservative offensively because of the weather, and Alabama probably was too, but they had the ability to snap the ball to Jalen Milroe and just run, and that's real high percentage. LSU doesn't have that option, and they tried to get the running game going a little bit. My biggest issue with LSU offensively in this game, other than turnovers, which we're going to talk about, and I've got a piece up at LouisianaSports.net right now that dissects every single interception that Garrett Nussmeier has thrown this year, all 11 of them right there, and 9 of them have video with them on the site. So if you want to check that out, you can at LouisianaSports.net. And the turnovers are the biggest thing. But Brian Kelly was asked about this at the press conference today and didn't have a firm answer because the question wasn't necessarily as specific as he wanted it. But LSU snapped the ball 70 times on Saturday, 70 plays. Caden Durham was on the field for 20 of those. No, that doesn't work for me. That does not work for me. And I know that Pro Football Focus is not the end-all, be-all, and they're not exactly correct, but I have found in my Pro Football Focus pieces that I put up every Sunday on LouisianaSports.net that oftentimes the grades do reflect kind of what you thought when you were watching the game. And I think that they're rooted in truth. Whether you think they're 4 points off or 8 points off or 10 points off or exactly on the money, they're rooted in some truth. Nobody plays a phenomenal game and grades out a 20. Nobody plays a garbage game and gets an 86. Like, they're rooted in some truth. And Josh Williams' pass blocking grade was 32. So it's not like he's Anthony Munoz back there in pass protection. Caden Durham's got to be on the field more than 20 of 70 snaps. Now, if his foot still hurts, then we can have that discussion, and I don't know that. I was told last week that Caden Durham had been playing with an insert in his shoe and that he got that taken out last week, which lends me to believe he's getting much better than he was, say, 2 weeks ago at Texas A&M or even further back than that. He's got to play more than 20 of 70 snaps. He is clearly the best back that you've got. He's the most explosive back you've got. He's capable in the passing game. And it's not like the guys that you're putting out there other than him are setting the world on fire. So that was an issue that I had with the LSU offense. Speaking of the Pro Football Focus grades, Pro Football Focus liked the way Emory Jones and Miles Frazier played in this game, and I thought LSU did a pretty good job running the ball to the right. LSU ran the ball to the right 9 times for 72 yards. They ran the ball to the left 9 times for 26 yards. So a lot more success running behind Emory Jones and Miles Frazier than going behind Will Campbell and Paul Mbenga making his first start. But the turnovers are the biggest thing offensively. And in my studies of Garrett's interceptions, and I wrote this at .net, it is far more often than not a misread that is plaguing him with these picks. I'll just briefly kind of run through them here as I've got the list of all 11 times he's turned it over. The first interception he threw this year, nobody cares about. There were 7 seconds left against USC. LSU was trying a desperation thing, and Mason Taylor didn't turn around because they were probably going to try some hook and lateral thing. I don't care about the first pick that he threw. I don't care about the last pick that he threw on Saturday night against Alabama because C.J. Daniels fell down in the rain. So 2 of them you completely throw out. I don't care about them at all. Now, after that, you've got some that are concerning for different reasons. A lot of them are rooted in the fact that he is missing reads. He's thrown 2 interceptions down in the red zone that have badly hurt. Of course, the one against Alabama in the game on Saturday, they were on the 5-yard line, 2nd and goal, and he throws it right into the hands of a safety who was going with one receiver and then stepped in front of another, and he just didn't see that guy. The other red zone interception was in the end zone against South Carolina when he got hit, and they called it back for the touchdown, but South Carolina still got to keep the football. Those 2 red zone mistakes, he's just not seeing one of the guys that's in front of him there. Only 1 interception all year long has come because he got too much pressure on him, and the ball got tipped. It was the first interception that he threw against Ole Miss. They got pressure, tipped ball, and Ole Miss ran it down inside the red zone. There are 2 where I think that he just never saw a guy. One was against South Alabama. It was an interception that he threw in the second half of that game. He thought he had Lacey on an in-breaking route, and then there was a safety that was there, and he just didn't see him, threw it right to the safety. The other one was the last interception against Texas A&M, where he tried to dump it off real short to Durham, and he didn't see Torian York, who was rushing, peel back, and he just never saw the guy. And then there are the ones that you just cannot have, that they've got to limit, and it's the bad decisions. That are 2 that you saw against Ole Miss and Texas A&M. The Ole Miss first interception where LSU had just gotten the pick by Zy Alexander in the end zone, and then he threw that pop fly into double coverage down the left sideline right into the hands of Ole Miss. Can't have that. And then you had the one in College Station that started the disaster where LSU was leading by 10. He rolled left and then tried to throw it back across his body. Those have to be cleaned up. So there's a mixed bag of everything that he's doing right now. I think that in time, you will be able to eliminate those terrible decisions. The question is, are you going to be able to eliminate when he doesn't see defenders? When he doesn't see a safety, when he doesn't see that part is going to be difficult. He'll learn to throw the ball away and not just chuck it up against Ole Miss. I got you. But he's got to do a better job, and it's a first year as a starting quarterback. That does matter. He's an old player, but he hasn't started a lot of games. But if he continues to turn it over 2 or 3 times every time out, LSU's going to have a hard time winning because their defense is not good enough to deal with that all the time. You're giving up short fields. You're changing momentum. You're taking the home crowd out of it or letting the road crowd into it, depending on where you are. Garrett's got to do a better job of decision-making. They've got to help him. You've got to keep running the ball. You've got to not get behind by 3 scores like they've done now the last 2 weeks. But he's got to clean up the interceptions. And I wrote about that over at LouisianaSports.net. You can go check that out.
Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.